Y'all, how to live start? I'm over here setting up my camera and the live done started. You know what? Let's go. Let's just go. Sidebar. I'm glad y'all are here already in the chat. Listen, Queen B-More says, I'm right on time by accident. Baby, I was right on time by accident too. Yes, I'm looking at y'all comments. Hey, hey, hey. Thank you for that. Queen B More says Richie picked some great photos for the thumbnail. All the ladies look gorgeous. What's going on? Yeah, we're getting started. My bad, y'all. CCF Freak says Shamea is already irking me. Ah, God. I hate that we have to go here about Shamea. But we about to get this Ponderosa started. What's going on, boo? Drew and that phone, I screamed. Y'all, I'm supposed to be like live on multiple platforms. Give me 1 second. Hold on. All right. Okay, y'all. Okay. I can't tell what's going on, y'all. I'm trying to do like 5 things at once. All right, so I'm looking at y'all comments right now, and we about to see. Charles is already with the ish. Joy says you was giving face unknowingly. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and edit that video. Edit that from the start. But listen, y'all, we live and direct, we live and in full effect, y'all. We're talking about Real Housewives of Atlanta, the new season, episode 1 of season 17, y'all. So let's get into it. If you are hold on, let me see if I can adjust. Y'all, I wish I could let y'all see what's going on right now. I got like 5 screens that I'm looking at, and it's it's really giving control center right now, okay? So anyway, but I'm trying to make sure I can get to all of y'all the best way that I possibly can, okay? So let's get into it. Now that we've said, our hellos and all that good stuff like that. My thoughts about this episode is so interesting. Um, I definitely loved the episode. Okay. Yes, the ghost of Simon during the entire scene in Portia's house. I felt like the editors, I can tell you for me that this season feels like fun so far. It feels like fun. And I like that. I like that we are in a housewife season and production is in on the joke, they're in on the gag. The ladies feel like they're in on the joke, they're in on the gag. When you watch the confessionals, people look like they're having fun. Um, and when I say by fun, I mean they're genuinely cracking themselves up at times, which we love, right? It feels housewives, but it feels also not housewives at the same time. This iteration of Atlanta does not feel like old school Atlanta. Let me just say that. So I think if you are looking for that old school Atlanta nostalgia, there are a few housewives that will give you that. Number one being, interestingly enough, Angela. Angela to me gives old school housewives in a way that just feels very authentic. I think that she has the benefit of like age, wisdom, been through some things in her marriage, you know what I'm saying? Been through some things with loss. We know she lost her mom, but also she is a bit self-deprecating, so she kind of can see what what's going on and she doesn't necessarily take herself so seriously, and I like that about her. There's nothing about Angela that is so overboard that it gets on my nerves or it grates on me. She seems to just show up as who she authentically is, and I like that. The other person that I feel like, what's up, Rock City? I see you, Darlene. How you doing? How you doing? What's going on? Janster, I see you too. What else is going on for me is I love Cynthia's intro. I gotta give the next sort of old school housewives vibe to Cynthia. Having Cynthia start off the episode, I actually thought it was Porsha at first. But seeing that it was Cynthia when she turned around and said, "Now what else is going on?" Tens across the board for that. Tens across the board. It was so simple, y'all. It was so simple. Hey, Dixie Knight. It was so simple that it felt it felt effortless. And I love that she just kind of shows up. And I'm gonna tell you the thing that I also liked about Cynthia was when you saw Cynthia do the um bringing her date on the phone, right? Yes, Radio Rick. When you see Cynthia do bring her boyfriend on the phone, what you don't see is her having him on the phone the entire night. Okay, that's overkill to me with what Drew did. To me, it's overkill. I mean, it was kind of like K. Michelle said, the man is sitting there, what appears to be like a ring light, bathing him in light, which, I mean, obviously you want to show your best self, but to sit there for 3 hours on FaceTime is it's a little unnatural. What's up, Barbara? I see you. It's a little unnatural. You know what I'm saying? It just felt weird to me. I was like, this, I don't know about it. The other person that feels, so we've got Angela, we've got Cynthia. The other person to me that feels like home in terms of like old school housewives that gives vintage vibes is, I'm gonna say, actually K Michelle. The reason I say that is because K Michelle, what's up, mister, is a good observer, right? It does. It feels like fun. K Michelle is a great um is a great observer and a great narrator of story. And that's likely because she's had experience on Love and Hip Hop. She's had experience having her own reality TV shows. She's had experience doing, I mean, she's done just about every version of Love and Hip Hop. She's also been on the Queen's Court, on Peacock. So she, to me, gives me that sort of nostalgic old school. And her scene with her crying about being sort of blackballed in hey Brooke, I am in Atlanta feels very, I mean, it takes us back to when she had her moment with Rashida way back in the day about someone who she was with who was, for her, abusive to her, right? That had continuously been Kay's story. She has been very, very consistent with that. And as a result, it felt like she, because it wasn't on the side of the reigning people in Atlanta, it felt like, I'm sure for her, that she was blackballed. So it was interesting to see her have that sort of feeling about it. But we also noticed that she says that she doesn't like the mean girl antics of the overall Atlanta crowd. So it'll be interesting to see how she falls back into the mix, or if she will turn into the mean girl herself. Um, let's see. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Katrina says, K. Michelle says she didn't come here to be shaking the table. She's grown now and knows that acting out of pocket um, the acting out of pocket, and she has to keep the record deals. She has record deals to keep. I totally agree. Good morning, Vanity Six. How you doing? What's up, Chantel as well? Who else we got in the chat? I love that moment with Kay and Porsha. I did too. Who else? And I wanted to kind of get into who else gives me those old school vibes. Phaedra, obviously. Phaedra gives me those old school vibes. Phaedra is hilarious in her confessional. Although there's a confessional where Phaedra and Kelli have an oddly similar look, which threw me off just a little bit. Okay, so let's dive in. I'm gonna run down each person. Um, we start with Angela. We talked about this scene with Angela before, and we feel I think we for the most part feel like hey, what's up, bra 83? Um, we feel like Angela and Charles, Angela says she's not going to be feeding into any rumors this season. I don't really blame you, but here's the thing. You know, Charles, you know what it is, and I think this is what it is about Charles. I support him. Um, I definitely support him. Supporting Angela, right? But I feel like he is like one of those guys who just refuses to show. It's like, have you ever met somebody or dated somebody that if you ask them for something like publicly, they don't want to do it, right? So what Angela wants is for him to show her affection on the show. So while I don't think that she is going to necessarily be addressing any rumors, I think that what Angela still wants to do is prove that those rumors are not true by of course having him be a lot more lovey-dovey towards her. And I feel like Charles is just resistant to doing it because he knows why she's asking, right? Because they probably not doing all that, when the cameras aren't rolling. And if that's not their thing, that's not their thing, right? But I feel like what Charles is doing is kind of, and we all know people like this. If you ask them to do something because it's gonna help you look a certain type of way, they just not gonna do it, or they don't want to do it because they know what you are doing it for. You know what I'm saying? I just That's kind of how I feel about the whole situation with Charles. Because even when she was like, give me a hug, feel on my booty, he was like, uh, I mean, he was giving crotchety old man with it. Um, Thank you, Miss Lee Carter, who says he loves humbling her. Gotta beg for a hug. That's how I feel too. Like, what's up, Chucky be lurking? Leon versus Noel says age difference. I don't it I don't like that for her either. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, he's not gonna play up the loving husband role for the camera. He's just not gonna do it. You know, Nursey Nurse says he doesn't want to fake the funk, right? L says do that in private. L also says feels like it's desperate on national TV. Miss Harris to you says Charles is a grouch. Um, Bay Butter TV says he's not nonsense, but I don't like he's no nonsense, but I don't like how he treats her on camera. Leon versus Noel says this season Angela looks her age though. Um Barbara Banks says their intentions are uncomfortable to watch sometimes. Leon, I I like that Angela. I like how Angela looks. I like that I feel like Angela feels to me like how housewives looked when they first came on the show back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like she's a beautiful woman, but I feel like to me, I just like how I like how she presents. I like how she looks. I there's nothing that I don't care for with Angela except for the fact that I feel like she does. You know what I mean, Real Housewife. Like, not you, the old school version of Housewives. Y'all know what I'm saying? Like, back when they looked good, but they didn't look like overdone. There are some people on the show who look overdone. Okay? And and when I say that, y'all, please know I am also the person that will tell you, okay? I I need a little Botox up here. You know what I'm saying? Give me a little Botox, baby. Give me a little Botox so I can get these wrinkles off the top of my forehead. But I can also laugh at myself. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Real Housewife says right. They look like average people, not manufacture rich money. I get it. Thank you. Yes. Boom, boom, boom. You hit the nail on the head. We got a fun super from P Fabio. Wait, hold on. The chat is moving. Says proud of you, love your perspective. Thank you so much for that super chat. Listen, I appreciate that so much. Did I get that right? P Fabio Lane Lame, is it Lame HU6261? I want to get it right. And I don't have on my glasses. So y'all gonna have to forgive me for that. Rich Housewife, thank you for the gift bag. Thank you for the heart. I appreciate you so much. And also for becoming the number 20 in the fan club. I appreciate you. Nursey Nurse says, Richie, you don't need no Botox. Man, what you talking about? I need that. I need to be like, shunk. You know what I'm saying? um, yeah. Okay, so that was the Angela scene. That's the one thing I kind of didn't really like. I didn't really like it. You know, it it's just always cringy to me when you gotta ask the person for a hug and a kiss and affection, because I just feel like, you know, what's going on, Sharon Omar? I just felt like, it's just cringy. The next thing that we see is our introduction to K Michelle. Okay, so K Michelle, to me, again, like I said, she I like her perspective so far on the show. It's really that of an observer and a and commentator, right? It's comedic commentary, and that's what you need on a show like this. The reason why, and I'm going to say this, Angie says, "Is your eye color real?" Yes. I used to think I look like an alien because of it, but you know, um, the reason. Here's the thing. Porsha could be the show's narrator, right? But Porsha, in my opinion, is not interested in being an observer. Um, she Thank you, Angie. I appreciate that. She is more interested in being, I don't want to say a star, but the center of attention. And I don't um I don't think that that's a bad thing per se, but I also think that we lose some of Portia's old funny commentaries, like side commentary, because I do think that she is more focused on being the center of attention. And granted, she can be because she is the show focuses a lot on her, right? It almost feels like she's the face of the show. It almost feels like she is the what's up, Felicia? She is the center peach to a certain degree. The center peach doesn't always make for the best narrator. When you are watching a reality TV show, the central character does not always make for the best narrator of what's happening. And so that's why I feel like it's nice to have a K Michelle who is there because she has those comedic chops in order to tell the story and give you that fish out of water reaction. Although I'm like, K Michelle, come on now. You have been through all of this before. Oh, thank you, Dr. Ben. I think you thank you. Um, you've been through all of this before. You know what this is. But it's funny, it's fun to watch her react as though she's never been on a reality TV show before, and she has no clue what this chaos that is unfolding around her is all about. I kind of live for it. But yeah, you can tell she does have some residual, I think, PTSD from that and from Atlanta, I think specifically. Um, you listen, K Michelle and Charles together, they can't see beside each other no more because they are too much kikiing. Okay. Barbara says, do you think the cast have a leader, like someone who has influence over all the ladies? It's kind of early for me to be able to tell that per se. Um, I agree, Felicia. Michelle, who says she's really a vet. She knows how to play the game for sure. I love Kate. I do too as well. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much for that. And that's true. It is because Portia does give that main character energy, but we're gonna get to her. Um, Simon. Somebody, Katrina said, Richie, what ghost in your house? Your camera is zooming you in and out. Okay, so my camera here, it really does what it wants. And I don't know. I really don't know. I cannot say. I cannot say. I have no I've turned the actual zoom feature off for the camera and it just does what it wants. What's up, Ernte? How you doing? Um s- uh Carmen says Cynthia will be a good leader. I think that Cynthia is a good neutral party. I don't know about her as a leader, but I think she could bring them all together if she needs to. Because when Cynthia is put to the test, that's when Cynthia is. If you get Cynthia activated, okay, you get her activated. That's what we talking about right there. Um, I like this group together as well because there right now there is no real clear leader, right? What's up, Kenny? I see you. There's no real clear leader yet, but I think we'll see as the show moves on, like who that could be. Okay. Um. So Portia introduces us to K Michelle. K Michelle, we know, is married. She just recently got married, as it turns out, for when the show has began filming. Um, we all know about the country music. We all know about the work that she's doing there. Portia's having an event at her house, and all the girls are invited. Um, I'm gonna get to Portia and her date in a second because I don't know. We're gonna have to. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about that in 1 second. I want to get to Shamea and Kelli. Okay. All right, so let me tell you a couple of issues that I have that I think that I had with Shamea in the previous season that I never really had an issue with when she was a friend. So this is also kind of funny to me. Um, Vanity Six says I'm sick of Kelly and Shamea. In a scene where, for me personally, I love that Shamea is wealthy. I love that she has the lifestyle. I love that she is riding a wave of success from the show. If you watch the commercial, she actually had a commercial for I think when it was like some type of scent or something like that that you put in the home. And I said, "Yes, Shamia, like let's go rock these opportunities, right?" But um uh, here's the thing. In a scene where I felt like I wanted to know about what Shamia has been up to, what Gerald has been up to, what her mama been up to, and what Shiloh has been up to, I want to know all of those things. Okay. But what I got was BFF time. And there's a voice that Shamia does that just, oh my God, what's up, Auntie Paula? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I I don't need to know at every moment that Kelly is your BFF, right? Miss Lee Carter, thank you for the super, says flip and flop. Ooh. um, Radio Rick says something about Shamia doesn't land. And that's what it is. Something about Shamia doesn't land because I don't know if it's like too much of a good thing. And what I mean by that, it's like as a grown person, okay? And maybe it's the age that I'm at right now, and maybe the age that I know a lot of you guys are at. We have friends, and even if we have a BFF, like I don't need to say BFF, 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 but that's my BFF. Like, I need you to just be a singular character on this show, and I need you to be untethered to anyone, because you being tethered to Porsha last season did not work out well for you. Actually, it never worked out well for you. I'm just gonna be for real. Being tethered to another housewife has never worked well for Shamea. It especially didn't work when she was being tethered to Porsha, because we saw what happened back in the day, and I don't think it works for you being tethered to Kelly. I don't think that there's anything wrong with Shamea and Kelly being um yes. Um yes, even though Shamea is wealthy, she longs to fit in and be connected. Yes, you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head. And it almost gives it's so cringy to me sometimes that it gives friendship contract from Nene and Cynthia from back in the day. And the thing about it is, I don't need you to tell us you and Kelly are BFFs. The camera will show us that you and Kelly are BFFs by the actions that you take when you're on the show. So screaming BFFs, like when Shamea does her YouTube videos and she says, "Hey BFFs," to me, that's when you do it, right? The BFFs become your community of people who watch you and subscribe to you or follow you, right? That's those are your BFFs. Call them your BFFs, right? You can call Kelly your BFF, and we know what that means, but you can say that on the side, to her in real life. But when you're on the show and all I hear, and actually they put up a giant BFF like behind, like in the frame, as if we would not already know that she was going to say it 19 times in one episode. And so that's a big mistake that I think she keeps on making, is so closely aligning herself with someone else that we almost lose the fact that we're supposed to be watching Shamea, who is wealthy, married to a husband. Her mom is present. There's family and story there. But the sole focus of this scene is the girl who's coming to your house, which is Kelli. And how old is Kelly's daughter that you are packing up champagne for her in her college bag? Now, I don't know. Okay. I don't know. Right. Um, I don't know how old Kelly's daughter is. I'm gonna go ahead and give y'all that. I don't know. All right. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Ooh, somebody said just like Sutton, acknowledge me. She wants to be acknowledged. It's almost like I can't really even explain it. I can't even Hey Deidre, thank you. What's up, Jeff? I see y'all. I see y'all. Thank you. Um, it does remind me of Sutton. It in a different way, right? You know, Sutton on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is a very, very rich woman trying to fit in with a crowd of women who she deems as the cool girls. When in reality, if I were Sutton, you should be leading that pack of women, quite frankly. You think that because they look a certain type of way on that on Sutton thinks on that show, and you know all of those things, girl, you got the coin. You could blink and not even have to go back to the show and still be set for the rest of your life. So, but you're so busy trying to fit in with this group that you was willing to throw away your friendship. She and quite frankly, I think she would almost throw away her friendship with Jennifer Tilly if the girls would really accept her like that. But anyway, Artistry Studio says, I think Shamea doesn't know how to be an individual. She's used to being seen as a friend of so and so, and that's it. That's it. Because she is so used to being a friend of the show, and this is to me, this is there's a reason why sometimes friends coming as a central character does not work. We saw it happen with Marlo, and it worked for Marlo in a different way, or this theory works for Marlo in a different way. Um, is that once you become a main character, you now have to exist solely as your own character. That is it. So whatever you do, which is a good a good example of this is a Portia, because though I don't see her as being a reliable narrator at times, what I do see her being is having main character energy, and you cannot deny that. Whether you like her or don't like her, you know, she's going to change the temperature of the room when she enters. Shamea can change the temperature of the room, but she doesn't use it to her advantage, in my opinion. And she doesn't know how to control that power yet. Um, y- so yeah, I don't know how old Kelly's daughter is. And as they're packing goodie bags for Kelly's daughter going to college, now if Kelly's daughter is 21 and they are and maybe she's transitioning to a college or whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? And you're packing her a goodie bag with the champs in it, that's one thing. But I kind of wasn't understand. I kind of was a little bit thrown because I was like, are we packing the champs in the bag for somebody who is not 21? I had to do a double take on that and try to figure that out because I just couldn't get it. I couldn't quite wrap my brain around what was going in the goodie bag. Um, and you know, I just didn't understand it. Okay. I don't know. Ember Duran, I don't know if she is 21 or not. And even if people did go to college and then have some some champagne, I'm wondering why would you in this on a TV show give her that? Right. Like I'm thinking, girl, what? I don't know. I don't know. I just couldn't. I couldn't wrap my mind around it. And look, right. Uh Texas Cannon says Kelly didn't understand it either. I don't know. It was weird to me, but I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it at that. I didn't understand it. Okay, so I've covered Shamea. Now I want to cover Shamea and Portia. Shamea and Portia is very interesting to me because in this episode, you really don't hear much from Portia about the issues that she and Shamea had previously, other than they used to be best friends. But what we get from Shamea is that after the reunion, Shamea received a text message from Portia that was very much giving the way that she made it seem like the girl was saying, it's nuck if you buck if I see you. That's kind of the energy that the text message was given based on what Shamea was miming. Okay, which I did find it I that part I did find hilarious because I'm like, two things. Number one, you could tell us, okay, you could tell us what that text message said. You could very well read that text message verbatim and it would satiate my curiosity about whatever nuck if you buck things that Portia said to her. Okay? Because I want to know. I want to know what the message said. All right. Now, I want to know also too, did in response see, Shamea says she left it alone. I believe Shamea. Okay, I'm gonna let y'all know that right now. I believe Shamea. I believe that there was a text message that was nuck if you buck. I believe Shamea left it alone. She might have said something prior to that that resulted in a nuck if you buck. But I believe she left it alone. But I also believe that there is still a portion of Shamea that wants to protect at least the sanctity of what those text messages were. Just like neither one of them really, really wanted to go into the mama situation of it all. So I think that's why why she didn't say exactly what the message said, because I still think that there is some level of, I'm gonna still respect you in some way, shape, or form, but I don't respect you. Okay. I'm gonna have enough respect for our friendship to not read to the world the words that you that you had the gall enough to say to me. Right, Deirdre. They probably got They probably both got a little nasty. They might have both got a little nasty with it. But main character energy, though, main character energy, Shamea would have read that text message. I ain't gonna even hold y'all. Okay. Now listen, I ain't saying that's the right thing to do. I'm telling you what a main character energy character personality on one of these shows would have done. They would have read that text message. They would have put that thing up on the screen, baby. Because if you talking that type of talk to somebody, um, main character energy on these shows is gonna put that thing up there. I'm gonna read it to you verbatim. This what she had the nerve to say to me, and we done. We done with it. The door is closed. Okay. But because we're starting a new season and we're starting fresh and we do need everybody at the all cast event, it would it I think Shamea played it polite. But if I'm Shamea, okay, I'm saving that message just in case. They would listen. They people would have said, "Oh, she doing too much." They would have said that because some people can't be objective about Shamea. I can be objective about Shamea because I neither. Um, I like all of these characters. I like all of these people, but I can give some feedback that you know is constructive, right? Deirdre says they probably still have love for each other and possibly could repair the friendship. I mean, they could, right? Hey, Omisha Beauty. Um, Not necessarily, right? We've seen it where somebody will show a text message and they will only show what one person said. It depends on what production wanted to do at that point and how they wanted to portray the moment. Um, you know, yeah, on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, they read what Mary Cosby texted them. They read it on the thing, okay? They read it on in the confessionals. They'll read it. Whitney has done it. They have, I mean, on a lot of shows you've seen this happen. That's why I said, main character energy, if she wanted to go there, I felt like she could have went there. And then we would have known exactly what we were dealing with in this episode. All right. Now that we've gotten through that, let's get to Portia's event that she does not know the name of. Okay? Porsha. Now, some of y'all are gonna be upset because I got some constructive criticism for Porsha too. Okay. Real Housewife says, and I'll answer this question: what do I think of Mary filming for the new season of Salt Lake City so soon? I would say to that, it's so hard to tell what we should do after we lose someone that we love. For some people, that may mean that we try to throw ourselves back into work to get through the day. Because if we sit at home, we would just isolate ourselves into despair. So I think that it is up to each individual person to ask themselves where they are in that moment, because only you know what you're going to be capable of doing, and you will only find it out if you venture into the world, right? And you may find, even as she's filming, that maybe she needs to pull back at some point because maybe the emotion really finally catches up to her in a way that she can't control or in a way that she didn't anticipate. So you can only, I think, go into those situations and try your best to move forward and figure it out as you go. So I hope that's based on my own experience, right? After my dad passed, I threw myself right back into work. I did not miss that much time online. Was that the smartest thing? Maybe, maybe not. But, I figured it out one mistake at a time, I think. So that's kind of what happens sometimes. So, um, yeah, I mean, and it's such an interesting thing. Britt also says there's no timeline for grieving. And oh, thank you, Raw Housewife. I appreciate that. It and it's right. You just don't know. I mean, some people will try to throw themselves back into life, a couple of days later, and you just find you have to find your own rhythm. Oh, thank you. How I don't know how that happened, but thank you. Yeah, completed stage one of the fan club. Yes, let's go. Okay. um okay, so let's talk about Portia and her man. So this man is apparently, I don't know this man Mike, okay? But apparently, he's pretty popular. He is, he partakes in some comedy skits or something like that, from my understanding. I'm sure there's other work that he does, and I don't know what that might be. I'm really not familiar with him, and that does not. I mean, but that means absolutely nothing. Okay, his name was Mike Bless. He's an actor. Is what they tell what they say, right? Thank you, D, for the rose. I appreciate that. Yeah. Okay. So thank you. Deidre says he's in Country Wayne skits. Okay. And he was on Ready to Love. Okay. I don't bit more believe that this man and Portia were dating than I believe. Okay. I don't, I don't bit more. Okay. I got to get country with it. I don't bit more believe that Portia and this man were in any way, shape, or form dating. It just did not feel authentic. It did not. Okay? Let me just be 110% for real with that. I just did not believe it. It did not come across authentic. It did not seem like these were two people who were even in like with each other. Um I just did not feel it. Um and I don't know if you guys felt it or not, which is why I said that in my opinion Portia is not a reliable narrator. And this is one of those reasons why I did not feel like I cannot rely on her narration of events, because if you would present this in this way, then I don't know why I would then believe everything else that you say, even though I adore watching Portia, right? I can adore watching you, but I can also not believe everything that comes out of your mouth. Like it's like watching sometimes like watching Stacy on Real Housewives of Potomac. I absolutely love Stacy. I think she's probably the most one of the most fun people to be around. But at the end of the day, I don't trust her narration of events all the time, because it just some things just don't feel real to me. It doesn't feel like it's authentic. It doesn't feel like it feels like this is for the show. Um Miss Chocolate Diva says Shamea is such a disappointment. It's like her awesomeness escapes her. Oh, that is such a good way to put that. Her awesomeness escapes her. Her awesomeness escapes her. My God. My God today. There was no better way to state that. Her awesomeness escapes her. It eludes her. Her awesomeness is fast, but she runs faster. Oh, I gotta leave it up on the screen for a second. Shamea, we're rooting for you. Okay. Rob, get out of here. Rob says, "Let me update my acting resume to be a rent a man for TV." Um, Alicia says nothing's wrong with Shamea. Um, yeah. So I didn't believe the situation between Portia and Mike. So and everybody is aghast to see Portia with this new man in her home that she shared with Simon after the whole big battle that they had, particularly over this house and whether or not they could film in this house. And for me, I'm looking at it like, well, I mean, I don't believe it, so I don't know. Like whatever. As the ghost of Simon is literally, I mean, the fact that here's the thing, they are some bold MFers, okay, on this show. I personally would not even mention Simon's name. Okay? I wouldn't even want to invite that level of controversy back to the show. Because when Simon, if you call Simon's name, it's sometimes like saying Candyman a couple of times in the mirror. Okay? If you keep calling him, he's gonna appear. What's up, Mo guy? I'm just letting y'all know that, right? Like, I don't know that man personally, but I really do feel like it's like saying if you say Candyman too many times, like get to running. Okay. No, I'm not saying I'm not going to say that name no more, right? But I'm just saying that while he might be deported, okay, that does not mean that he don't exist in the I don't know what his legal rights are at this point. I don't know what happens when you have been escorted from the country, but um I just don't think I would risk any of the goodwill that I feel like Portia has going for her in this moment, even with what feels like a fake date to me, for a comedic moment. Even though I found myself kikiing every single time they showed him walking in the background. I was like, production, y'all y'all are so unserious, but I love it. Okay. I love it, but I don't like it because I don't know what's gonna happen next. Okay. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay. Um, I'm gonna leave that at that. But you do know when you sign a contract to be on these shows, I mean, tip a lot of times your image and your likeness can be used in perpetuity. If he signing that contract back in the day for Portia's Family Matters, listen, these contracts, what's going on, Tierra Fab? With these contracts, man, they can still use your likeness. So I don't really think as much he could do. But he just get to talking on the online and stuff like that, and I just be like, oh God, you know, here we go, here we go, here we go again. All right, so Phaedra arrives to Portia's house with Shek. At least, while I don't believe they're dating in any way, shape, or form ever, never have I believed it. At least she is you working with the same person. Okay. At least she's working with the same person. He seems friendly, affable, and just down for a good time. He's down to be filmed. And I'm loving that for her. Again, do I believe it? No, but he works and that's okay. Kelli brings her own date who the people are saying is for everybody. That I mean, now, I don't know what that means in this instance. I don't know if because when you say for everybody in some cities, what you could be saying is that this person films a lot, okay? Um that he films on a lot of different shows, right? He is somebody who is known in the industry. He does a lot of work here, there, and the third. So that's kind of how I took it in the sense of, like, okay, I always see him at this, that, and the third, and he works with this, that, and the third. So for me, what that feels like is, can I trust that he is also real? You know what I'm saying? Like, do I trust that any of these dates are real? I don't necessarily trust that many of them are. even as Drew shows up and she has her dude Black on the FaceTime, ho y you sat at the dinner on FaceTime for 3 hours or more? No. No. Because now you gotta pay me. Hey, thank you, D. I appreciate you. Yes, Southern Olivia Pope, it was very weird. You honestly, I don't if we're dating or not. I mean, listen, I'm just not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I don't want to be on. Listen, uh, it to me, the way Cynthia did it was appropriate. We know that Cynthia is dating this man. Cynthia worked very hard initially to keep him a secret. And so, yes, I think, hey girl, let me show you my man is here to support me. All right, cool. That to me makes sense. And then he get off the phone because we got things to do. Like, I mean, people got other things to do, right? He's I think he's in a whole nother country. I think he's a DJ or something like that, moving and shaking. So who got time for that? Now, Drew's man on the phone, okay, might have he might I'm sure he's wildly successful, based on what people say about his business and stuff like that. So I'm sure maybe he does have the time. Okay. And maybe sitting on a Zoom call for 3 hours, I mean, if that 3 hours brings you in X amount of dollars for your business just because you sat there for that long, that's technically promo. So maybe I might sit on the Zoom too. Maybe because he's got the business, that appearance goes back to the money he makes. So I take it back. I said it. I said it. Now I take it back. Dr. Heavenly style. Okay, man, get your money. Get your money from this situation. Go on ahead. Sit there on whatever and get your money, man. Get your money, man. Get it. It don't make sense, but it ain't got to make sense to make some money. All right. So there you go. I'm gonna leave that at that. K Michelle comes not in black as requested, but neither is Charles for that matter. So I want you guys to notice that. Charles, who also does exactly what he wants. I feel like the reason why him and K Michelle get along so well is because they know that they were known before this show and they don't have to follow the rules in any way, shape, or form. And I feel like they displayed that on this here night. They's gonna come into the scene and do what they want to do. And that's just gonna be that. And everybody's gonna deal. Okay. Um, K Michelle's observations to me, spectacular, fun, funny. The shade between Kay and Drew is very odd to me because why would Drew act as though she does not know who K Michelle is or what K Michelle does? That to me, can I say this? I saw somebody's post this on a line somewhere. Drew recently did a skit and she was reenacting a moment between her and I think her name was Melanie on the game. And it was a confrontation between the two of them over Derwin. And she reenacted the script. And I think it was Erica De Niro TV on one of the platforms had posted that it was a repost that somebody else posted that said Drew Sidora plays Drew Sidora on Housewives like she did on the game. And I cannot unsee that post. I cannot unsee it. There is a way that Drew shows up on Housewives that gives an air of nose kind of in the air. You know what I'm saying? Like nose in the air. And I think there's a stark contrast from this Drew that we are seeing now versus the Drew that we saw in earlier seasons. Now, I think that the Drew in earlier seasons kind of did a little too much at times. Like y'all remember the boombox and the prophet? I mean, that was a lot, and we didn't really understand it. And I think that what Drew, in my opinion, could focus on a bit more is the sweet spot between nose in the air and doing too much, and just a bit more like authenticity, because I think that she's so used to playing characters that sometimes it feels like when I'm watching Housewives, I feel like she's playing the role of a housewife versus just being a housewife. If that makes any sense. Does that make sense to y'all? Like, am I off the mark here? I don't feel like I'm off the mark because that's my feeling as I watch the episodes. And she doesn't have to do much pretending because she was actually married. And I think that there's this idea that sometimes happens with housewives is that they have to be shady. Like I have to throw shade. I have to kind of, keep the people guessing. I have to be a little snarky. Right. Real Housewife says still in acting mode instead of being her true self. And because I can sense sometimes that there is acting mode, it doesn't really feel to me like we're getting the best version of Drew, even though she always looks absolutely amazing. She looks stunning. I just can't get past that sometimes. And so because we don't see a lot of her in this first episode, except at the party, I do wonder, what is this gonna be a repeat of last season where we get sort of Drew mostly in these group scenes and these side scenes. I wanna see more of Drew on set. I wanna see more of her in the studio. I wanna see more of her individual life and story, and I hope that we are able to get that because right now, if we're at the start of the season and this is an indicator, which it's just the start, I know, I want to dig deeper with Drew, and I hope she's able to give us that. Um, so there's that, right? And again, we didn't get that much of her, so I know I'm early with this, but that's what I remember from last season. I remember feeling like that when I was watching her on the footage from BravoCon, and it really hit me when I saw that post. I was like, "That's what it feels like watching Drew on this show." Um, there's a moment, so Shamea is late, okay, to the event. She's waiting for Gerald, who is apparently been rerouted from Atlanta to Charlotte. I had that happen to me recently when I was flying back. I was flying back from somewhere, and then they rerouted me to Richmond, Virginia, instead of like DC, and that was kind of like a pain in the butt. But we meet Pinky, and Pinky's introduction is, well, very listen, I'm the type of person that says this. It's not bragging if you got it like that, because sometimes people can speak in a way that feels braggadocious, but Pinky has done all of the things that she said. She has. But it's just, I think because we see what's happening in real time. And I was looking at a post as she was on Earn Your Leisure, and she was talking about how, and it's such an interesting story where she is right now in her business. I don't I don't hey B Adams, I don't what's going on, Demetri, is it Demetri Young? Um I personally feel like, and I'll say this, sometimes as people of color, we look at people who talk about their accomplishments and we think to ourselves, who are they to do that, right? Because I don't think a lot of us were taught to do that. And so we look at them and we think, they think they all that. They think that they think that they this, they think that they that. And in fact, maybe they should think that. Maybe we all should think that we're all that. Maybe we should. Maybe if more of us thought that we were all that, more of us would be doing a whole lot more. Okay? But there's an interesting balance with this Pinky situation because we know what was filmed and what she said, and we know what she is now. Okay? And so it'll be interesting to see her reconcile those two distinct places. But I will tell you this, okay? I will tell you this. You, and just like Pinky, can be at the very bottom of the totem pole of you can be at the very bottom of your life, okay? You could be broke, busted, disgusted, and can't be trusted. You can be in the negative with your bank account. You can be at the bottom of the barrel of every situation in your life. And I'm going to tell you something. That does not take away from your value as a person or what you can achieve. So I'm not one of those people that's going to be quick to say, oh, well, she shouldn't have been talking about herself so highly. Because I think that she still, as long as you believe that you are that thing, as long as you believe in your mind, it's not even a belief, it's a knowing. As long as you know in your head and in your heart who you are and whose you are, there is nothing that you can't come out of. Okay? There is nothing that can hold you back. And so I believe if she keeps that energy in her mind, that's where she will come out of this. That's where she will come out of this. That is where those she will be able to now hopefully pay those people who are wanting to be paid, right? That's the goal. So I'm interested to see her story, because I don't think that we've ever seen this on Atlanta in this way. We have definitely seen something like this, not to that degree, not to this degree, but we saw it on it's a real old season of Orange County where Lynn, right, one of the cast members, her daughter is at home and they actually filmed this happening. I think it was the daughter or Lynn herself. They came to the door with the eviction notice. I think it was. And before that, like, we had never seen anything like that on reality TV. But it just goes to show you that, this is going to be this to me is going to be one of the more interesting stories that I hope to follow. And what I also noticed was that Kelly said, right. And listen, here's the other thing too. Your losses do not take away from your achievements. And people should always remember that. Your losses do not take away from your achievements. Because there will be seasons in your life where you are winning, and there will be seasons of your life where you feel like you are losing. Okay, so I try to take a lesson from that particular situation because I know what that feeling is like. You know what I'm saying? I know what it's like to be at the very bottom, but also to feel like in your heart of hearts, like I might be at the bottom right now, um, but I'm not going to stay there. I don't really think it's fronting Natasha. I think it is that she was riding high. But I think that things in business happen that she was not prepared for. Kenny, yes, we're talking about Real Housewives of Atlanta, and we're talking about Pinky Cole, her introduction to the show. Um, I don't really consider it fronting. I consider it this is her lived experience. All of those things she mentioned, they happened. She was on those magazines, right? And I love this. Your losses don't take away from your achievements. Message. Boom. It does not. They do not take away from your achievements in any way, shape, or form. Um, all right. So we get that. Now I did notice again, Kelly said that Pinky wasn't a girl's girl. And I don't know if that's because Kelly states in the, in her confessional that oh, thank you so much, True Blue Black Girl. I appreciate you. Um, I don't know if that's because, she reached out to Pinky and Pinky never responded to her. Maybe that's it. Um, you know, maybe that's it. And I got to get more into who she is as a personality on camera. See, Kenny, I couldn't tell. It sounded like Pinky said she left Kelly left her on red, but then it felt like Kelly said Pinky left her on red. So I was kind of curious. Thank you, D. I appreciate you so much. I couldn't really tell what was going on with that. Who left who on red? Who was zooming who? Who did what to whom? Um Yeah, I agree. I don't think it has anything to do with fronting. I just think it's circumstantial situations happen. Thank you, Stacy. Um, hey Candy. So let's get back to the dinner. All right, so they do the obligatory games around the table and stuff like that, and it is what it is. Then the men are dismissed to go leave, and the girls are, sitting down for what is going to be the obligatory, you know, gr- all cast scene, right? So some things must be addressed. Obviously, we must address the the Shamea and Drew of it all because they have a moment earlier where Shamea asks where Gerald is, and Shamea is basically like, "Girl, he's not here. Pay attention to that man on the Zoom call, okay? Because you don't. I mean, I think it's here's the thing. Whether it was Drew throwing shade or not, I think at that point Shamea just knew that, girl, we don't really see it for each other. So I don't know why you're even asking me like you're concerned about me. I feel like that's kind of the energy that it was. Shamea was late getting there, but to me, I couldn't tell if this was like just a Gerald thing, like, they were waiting on him to see if he would arrive, or if it was a situation like where Porsha was late to Shamea's event, the first episode of last season. So I don't know if it was a tete-a-tete type situation, a tit for a tat. I don't know if it was that or just, I mean, it could have been Atlanta traffic. I like that Porsha did not naturally assume the worst. I think that Porsha was a gracious host in her welcome of Shamea, even though it might have been some throw some bows types of text messages betwixt the two of them from before. I thought that that was pretty classy. I liked that. Um, hey, thank you, Stacy. I appreciate that. I liked that. You know, I liked overall the elegance of the dinner that Portia threw, even though she did not remember the name of her own event. The intention was there to do something to get the group together, and I think that she pulled it off. Now, in terms of that group scene at the end, it's clear to me that Portia and not no that Drew and Shamia are just not going to see it for each other. We did get a little bit of shade from thank you D, I appreciate that. We did get a little bit of shade from K Michelle about Shamia singing as well. So I don't know if that will ever be addressed at any point in time. But we do get into the Phaedra and the Angela of it all. We've kind of talked about this. Did somebody on from Phaedra's friend group, family group, threaten Angela by saying, I'm the one that throws hands. We don't really know. Phaedra don't really know, to be honest with you. She says it didn't happen and she can pull the tapes, but she ain't seen not a tape. And I'm like, oh, Phaedra. Phaedra's one of those types of people that I don't know if I always believe her either, but yeah, I like her. She's fun. She's funny. So, girl, okay, keep at it. Um, mm, you know, y- we know we pretty much, if you've been watching this show from back in the day, kind of like most of us were, even back to the point where Phaedra was being asked about her due date. I think from that point forward, we have kind of all figured that Phaedra is kind of gonna be a little bit slippery. You know what I'm saying? She gonna be a little greased up. You ain't gonna never be able to catch her really for nothing. So I think in general as viewers have just kind of come to understand that Phaedra's here to entertain us, pretty much. And hey, what's going on, Letty? As long as she continues to entertain us, and I know y'all gonna probably say, well, you giving her a lot of grace. But here's the thing. There is a couple of things. There is someone who I don't believe and then I don't like. Okay? There's the character on TV that we don't believe and we don't like. And so then that makes us not want to see them anymore. There's a character on TV that we want to like, but we just don't like. So they typically just do the wrong things. And for a lot of y'all, that's Shamea. Okay? There's the type of person that we know we don't always believe what they say, but we like them. That's a Phaedra. That's a Porsha. We like them. They make us laugh. They make us feel good. They serve. They bring all the things that we have come to expect, right? And then there's the person that we're just not sure of, right? We don't always know what we're getting from them. We want to like them. Sometimes we don't like what they do, and we don't know that they're giving us their most authentic selves, and then they kind of remain a mystery to us, and that would be like a Drew, right? That's kind of where we are with her. Now, in this, I haven't really said that much about Kelli because I've been kind of waiting till this moment. After we get through the Angela and Phaedra of it all, for which we will never really understand the true nature of what really happened with any of it. And actually, I think that because of so much of what has happened, we just don't care. Um, and we're ready to move on from that. The new thing is, obviously, Kelli is aware of whatever throw some bowls text messages Porsha has allegedly sent to Shamea, and she wants to get down to the bottom of it. Now, I don't know that the rest of the group knows about these text messages, but they do now. In which case, I'm thinking to myself, now would be the perfect time for somebody to read us those text messages in a confessional. Okay? Now, I only say it because y'all keep talking about these text messages. And if you keep talking about something long enough, we're going to want to know what it is. So, somebody might as well go ahead and publish what those text messages are in a future episode so we don't have to keep guessing and waiting with anticipation and bated breath to find out exactly how many bows was promised to be thrown. But Kelli brings it up. So, hey girl, what's going on with you and Shamea? We're going to talk about these text messages in which you are allegedly trying to throw some bows in her way. And Porsha is like, that is between me and Shamea. That is a A-B conversation, and you can see your way out of it. We're not going to talk about that at my party. We're not going to do that at my party. Don't ask me about nothing I don't want to talk about at my party. Don't even ask about my man at my party. I'm not talking to you about nothing, and you can shut up. That was basically the energy that Porsha gave in that moment. And it kind of was reminiscent of last season when first episode Kelli asked Porsha about, did you really steal that lady husband though? And so I think that Porsha on this season was sitting on ready with Kelli, and she kind of knew what was going on. I respect that Porsha answered in that way, But I also want to know, did you send that text message, girl? And did you and was you trying to throw some bows with her? Like, I mean, give us that. Can you tell us that? But I respect the fact that she did it in the way that she did, because at a certain point in time, yes, the show calls for some drama and some resolution and some things to be discussed at these all cast events. But at the end of the day, if it's your event, you control the narrative on what's happening right now. And I feel like I respect Portia so much for just being like, I'm not really even discussing that right now with you. Period. It ain't none of your business. Bye. Um, and so then that brings me to Kelly's role on the show, which is also kind of an interesting role because she also kind of narrates, and she finds her humor in her own in the things that she says herself, which I appreciate a person who laughs along with what they're saying because they are genuinely finding themselves funny. Kelly to me oftentimes feels like I always feel like what she is wearing her. And so Kelly feels to me like she gets lost in a sea of stuff, right? In a sea of feathers, in a sea of some kind of swoop on the face, in a sea of big things around her very sort of diminutive, like demure frame, right? And I think that if Kelly like showed up in a way that just felt a little less like I don't it like Cruella de Vil style like wardrobe, then I feel like we would get more of who Kelly actually is. But when I look at her in every confessional, I'm not looking at her. I am looking at everything that's on her. And I feel like that is problematic. And I feel like that's an easy fix. It's an easy correction. Like Angela, if you look at Angela in her confessional, Angela's wearing a simple, it looks what looks to be red to me because y'all know I'm colorblind. So work with me. Work with me, you know? But it's a simple sort of like outfit and it looks absolutely amazing. Or you take Porsha, like what Portia's wearing in her confessional, there's some feather action, but the color is it she's not the she's wearing the clothes, right? It always looks like Kelly's clothes are wearing her. And so she gets lost to me and it's just a sea of stuff. It's like literally let us take one or two major things off and let's simplify this and show just the I mean, does that make sense? I hope I'm making sense. Hey Brooke, uh y- like it's kind of like less is more. When it comes to styling, sometimes I feel like less can be more. And you just have to know what your style type is. And I understand that, in the confessionals, people want to break out their most, the looks, right? This is your chance to be either, and some people will go full Met Gala, and some people will go like, you know, after work, going to going to the office hours. And sometimes just going to the after hours would do a little bit better than looking like you're going to the Met Gala because then again, we lose you in all of the shenanigans that you're wearing or attempting to wear, and then we just feel like I don't get to know you. I'm getting to know a caricature of you, and I don't want to know the caricature that you're presenting. I want to know you because I do feel like Kelly has genuine story. I feel like there's something there with her that I'm interested in. I want to see more of, but I just don't need all of the extra. And I think if we stripped back some of that, that we would probably get more of someone we all genuinely really like. Those are just my observations. I don't know. I mean, am I right or am I right? You know. Oh God. And so, yeah. I mean, Crystal. Listen, I I would rather see her in some plain old Zara. I mean, you know, give. Oh my God. Okay, so I will say this. I got to give Shamea this. CCF Freak says she got on my nerves, but I love Shamea with that long hair with the swoop and that confessional. She had on, it was like some type of leopard print bodysuit. I said, that Shamea is your look. This right here, whatever this is, I was like, this is it. This is it. I need whoever did that. I need that for the rest of the season for you. That's the look right there. That was it. That was the winner chicken dinner. Yes, Kenny, Porsha and that brown fit with the gloves. Chef's kiss. Perfection. Okay. I even like, there was one with Phaedra, and was it like a, y'all gonna get me on this color. She had like the shorter hair and it was like a bluish. Actually, all of Phaedra's looked. Oh, see, Phaedra know how to do it where she mixes it up. You know, there's certain looks where Phaedra looks like, you know, office Barbie, right? And then some where she will, you know, do a little more than extra. I like it when people can mix it up and they know how to do it, so that sometimes I can just see you in the confessional. I see you. Yeah. Looking at your comments. Um, so overall, let me tell you what I think overall about this episode. I definitely enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I wish that they had, I think if you're going to be bringing dates onto these shows, I need to feel like there's something actually there. You know, as the man Mike is telling people it's the end of the night and it's time for everybody to go home, everybody's looking at him like, "Okay, y'all kiss." And then they look at each other and they're like, "Oh, nobody told us we was gonna have to kiss." Okay, I mean that's what it gave, and I'm like, I need you to sell me candy, okay? And this is what I mean. That's a song by Rihanna. For those of you guys that don't know, it was off of her. Was it the Good Girl Gone Bad album? The one with Umbrella. And the saying "sell me candy," it really just means I need you to like sell the relationship. I need you to have practiced, okay, the kiss beforehand. There is a feeling that we can tell when two people are dating or they're really into each other. And and I've taken an acting class before, and there was a scene that I did with this it was this girl, and my acting coach was like, and I just took this class because I just needed an outlet to just do something different. And I found that many people who were like engineers, who were in a lot of these disciplines where they don't really get to step outside of themselves, um they took these classes. And so the young lady that I was working with, I was like, we had to actually like kiss in the scene. And we had to work on it because what ends up happening is if you were going to kiss someone in a scene as an actor, there's a level of comfort that the two of you and trust that the two of you guys have to have. for me, I'm thinking to myself, okay, number one, I'm like 6'3". She's like literally 5, 6 maybe. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, I don't want her to feel like in any way, shape, or form threatened, right? What's up, TJ Speaks? Because I just don't want her to, you know what I'm saying? You want the person that you're working with to feel safe. And because she don't know me that well and I don't know her that well, we got to make each other feel real safe in a very short period of time. So there were many weekends leading up to our final scene performance that we had to practice. So guess what we had to practice? Y'all, we had to practice that kiss a lot of times. We had to practice embracing each other like two people who are, really into each other. And that has to feel natural. And so, in doing that, you've got to be so comfortable with this person that as you move, you almost move together. And if you haven't done that work, when it's time for you to then show up on camera and be the date of someone, then if you haven't done that work, it's going to show. And therefore, you can't sell me candy if you have not actually made the candy. Okay. If you haven't taken the time to develop some very, very real chemistry, then and it can be developed, but it requires comfort and practice. And if you cannot do that, then when you are forced to actually display it, it's going to look very unnatural on camera. It's going to look like you guys have never actually done this before, and that's what it looked like. And you guys are not going to, it's not going to feel like you are really there and in the moment with this person. You got to do all of those things in advance. And if you haven't done that, then we just know that okay, you are just bringing someone on that you feel like is attractive to this to do this, and that's just that. That's all it is. That's what it feels like. So I take you guys down that rabbit hole. Thank you for that. I take you down that rabbit hole because I want you to understand that it takes a little bit more work than you just saying, "Oh, yeah, I'm gonna be on this show with you. I'm gonna do this. We're gonna do this show, and we're gonna because if you are the main character, and that's the type of energy that Portia gives. If you're giving main character energy, but you don't do the work for the main character, then man, it's just gonna look like bam, no chemistry. It's gonna look like no chemistry, and we know what that looks like. We've seen this too many times. Um, we've seen this on so many shows. L says improv is usually really good for lawyers, and some of that is also it can fall into improv. And if you've studied improv, both people would have had to have studied improv in order for that to work. It's the truth. It's the absolute truth. So, hey, thank you, Junior. I appreciate that. Hey, Brandy. All right, let's see. What else did I miss? We got a super, super duper duper from Spar 5132 says K Michelle and Charles Oakley are the duo I didn't know I needed. I enjoyed the show last night. It was fresh, entertaining, and the hour went by fast. I will say I do agree with you on that. I do feel like the hour did kind of fly by. It was like boom, and we're into the cast event. I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was fun. I felt like the goal was to make the show fun, and they accomplished that goal. And so sometimes when we watch a show, we're looking, especially nowadays, with just kind of everything that we experience on a day-to-day basis. we need a little fun in our lives. We need those moments where we can watch something and just watch it for the joy of watching it. And I think that that's what the episode gave us. And so for that, I am happy. And if they keep this energy going all season long, I think this is also why you're seeing Housewives cast with I mean, way more cast members, is because it freshens the energy, right? The energy remains so fresh because if a cast member doesn't work, you've got somebody else to kind of step in and make some stuff happen and be entertaining or do something and say something, and you just don't rely on like the old school way. If you only had 5 people, now granted, I ain't gonna hold y'all. Raw Housewives of New Jersey season 2, they only had 4 people, but that thing was lit. Okay. You wanna see some magic happen on a show with 4 people on it? I don't know how they did that thing, but that thing worked. You had them ladies running through that posh fashion show. Not the posh fashion show, that event. It was some event at the I don't even know what it was. Danielle being chased down, hair being yanked. It was crazy. Kenny says I needed them to redo that opening credit pick, adding Pinky and K via Photoshop. um, yeah, I don't like when they do that. They could have just honestly used the I always say this. I always say just do a new photo shoot every season because that keeps people excited, and it keeps the images fresh. And to be honest with you, we all listen. I know they pay a lot for these photo shoots because they've got to bring in the photographer, the makeup artist, the stylist, and all of those things. So I think that you just have to. There's a lot of work that goes into it, but I also feel like the work is worth it because those images, they keep people excited, they keep them guessing, they keep it fresh. CCF Freak says, "Hey Richie, why does it seem like we don't get the taglines until episode 3 to 5?" I don't know why they do that as of late. It really doesn't make any sense to me why that happens. Um, hey Elena, thank you. Um, I don't know. That's a very, very good question. I don't have an answer to that. The only thing I could assume is that they want to keep some of that excitement for the new season going a little bit longer. So they have something else to kind of give us after the season has aired. So, like before the season starts, we get obviously the trailer, we get, new intro photos, even though, or new cast photos, even though it may be a redo from last season, some extra shots that they didn't took, and then we got some new shots for the new ladies. Um, all of that newness goes into feeding the first episode, obviously. So you keep that press going. My assumption could be, based on a marketing perspective, would be that we then save something else now, and that can be those intro cards for after those first couple of episodes, when you don't want the attention to wane, so let's boom, we got something new to throw at you, right? We've got the taglines coming around episodes 2, 3, 4, or 5. Then we've got the mid-season. So we've got the cast trip coming up probably around episode 4, 5, 6, 7. Then boom, around episode 7, we've got the mid-season trailer. So when you think about the marketing timeline for how these shows work, it's actually pretty smart. Now that we kind of now that you asked that question, if I really think through it in that way, I feel like from a marketing perspective, it gives you plenty more things to kind of get excited about as the season is airing. And then after that mid-season trailer comes, you've got then a couple more episodes and then probably another cast trip, and then you've got the reunion. So it keeps some of that promo material, like that promo information out there in a way that I think is pretty smart, and you don't have to do anything new. Um, Andretta Wiggins says, I am Team Porsha, but I completely understand what you're saying about chemistry. The most chemistry she had was with Dennis. Yeah. You felt that with Porsha and Dennis. You felt that thing. There was a something there. Then it's still, I would argue that if we saw them on screen together today, it would still be there. There's still that thing there between the two of them that I feel like you felt that that was authentic. Hey, been missing your lives much lately, going through job drama, trauma. Your streams brighten my day. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I definitely do appreciate that. Kenny, was there anything that I asked? Kenny asked, was there anything that I did not like? Hey, Bella, thank you. Anything that I did not like from the episode? Um, I think there were things that I didn't like that people did or did not do, right? So I think that for me, I there are things that I feel like I want for there's so much that would be very easy to correct for Shamea, and I want her to stand on her own and just be her own person and lose a little bit of that, like, it's BFF, BFF, BFF energy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think she needs to do all that. A little bit more, I think, authenticity from Drew. And maybe it's because we don't get that much of Drew in this episode. I did not like the Mike and Portia thing. I, that thing, whatever they were supposed to be doing, dating, threw me off completely. Um, those little things, but I feel like they're kind of nitpicky things that I don't want to harp on because I felt like the goal here was to give us a good show. And when I look back at that idea, the goal is to give us a good show. I feel like, okay, I can understand it. I don't like it, but I'll allow it because look, I'll allow it because I do feel like there's a desire there to give us something good. Brandy says yes, she's a people pleaser. I want her to stop doing that. I think that's Shamia's biggest issue. Let me see if there's anything that I missed here. All right, so listen, that was the episode, y'all. I want to say, listen, thank you guys for tuning in. For everybody here, right? Um, Definitely tap in the link in the description. We've still got our Bali trip going. I have 2 spots left for our Bali trip. Week 1 sold out, so we are doing week 2 now. We have 2 more spots for week 2, so you can either click in my bio or the description. And also too, our master class is happening on Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. For those of you guys that are interested in monetizing your content, you definitely want to tap in on that. Um, that's almost full to capacity, so I'm super excited about that. And we're going to be doing a lot of work in that session. So if you're interested, click the link in my bio or the link in my description. With that being said, for those of you here, I will catch you in the next one.